Okay, so we have
Mhm.
Shubranto, I think, in the session. Hi, uh, everyone. Hi, GP.
Hi,
Aditya,
hello
hi.
everyone, and I hope ZAT का पेपर अच्छा लगा लोगों को. It would be slightly different from what they have experienced in CAT.
Yeah. One. So
Mhm.
I want to start with this sort of slide, GP,
Yeah.
which is like number of test takers. So far, so I think this was the data that we kind of received till about, I think, about 5 p.m. ish. Okay, so this probably
Yeah.
would have increased to, I don't know
Maybe
whether
300.
तो मतलब 300 is a question mark. Then we have CDC takers about 6,000. Uh, but that CDX is giving opportunity, probably the next best exam, I believe, because it gives opportunity to very top colleges. Number of people who are taking 240. That is where there is this a talk that I keep hearing in most of the sort of groups, which will say that the
Mhm.
CAT was very tough. So public ना अभी जाके ZAT लिखने वाला है. Number of people who are going to take that is now going to be lakhs. So this this data is telling a very different story. Any sort of take you have on this?
Yeah, I think people are just tired, and
Okay.
possibly one explanation could be maybe they felt that we need to study before we take that because the cat liya acha nahi hua hai, we need to put in some effort and then take the mocks. But to me that's a completely stupid argument because
Yeah.
once you are prepared for cat, even if you say yeah quant did not go well, English you still have to do. Decision making is a completely different cup of tea, and quant typically in that is much more easier than cat, and that has been the trend for the last 5 6 years if not more.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
frankly it defeats logic to me that so few people are taking the mocks.
uh,
Okay.
so for example, this session probably will be attended by about 2, 5, 10 people, which is good. I mean, so one thing that is absolutely important to understand is that given this is a fact for those of you who are going to take that seriously and taking these tests and preparing for the examination, should have a sort of positive outlook in the sense that majority are not even considering that to be important enough to take when you have access to so many schools. And plus, the second thing is about the story of ZAT. This is the situation of ZAT. There is ZAT is on two parts, part one and part two. By the way, part
Yeah.
two is evaluated by XLRA for the second stage. So it is not considered for the sort of first stage of selection process. And in that, you have
Yeah.
got 175 minutes here
Mhm.
to the three section with no time
Mm.
limit. There is no
Yeah.
time limit, which means you can run around between each section. So practically 175 is almost like 1 hour per section. When you have 26 questions, 22 questions, and 28 questions, you can here at this point in time say read the passage twice, maybe even. Okay, decision
And
making.
and Bijo,
Yeah,
Bijo,
yeah,
this is quant and DI both is 28 questions. Out
correct.
of this, 6 to 8 questions are typically DI. 6 to 8 are DI. So it is 20 questions of quant and 6 to 8 questions of DI in 1 hour, 1 hour 5 minutes, or 1 hour 10 minutes, depending upon how much you want to give. So there's ample time out here.
So we are used to sort of taking cat of 40 minutes for the 24 questions. And here, practically out of this 24 questions, four of the questions are even grammar and vocabulary based. So,
Yes.
which is going to happen just like that. So, you are 22 questions, and the passages are shorter in length, right? And I think it is 300 words passage. So, and then you have so
Yes.
many time. Decision making is essentially sort of a new type, but still it is about 7 to 8 sets of maybe one sort of logical reasoning types question, but most other thing is basic question which can be managed, and the quantity added to this, and therefore this is sort of one exam that you must look at. So I've sort of picked up this data. This is sort of estimate of ZAT 2023 based on the data that we have received, and this is the 2024. I think the press release setting where they're talking about the various cutoff the for business management program and human resources. We only
Yeah.
picked up
These are percentile cutoffs.
these are percentile cutoff. So, for instance, if somebody wants to look at business management program, and let's say you are a general engineer male, by the way, your cutoff for BA is 75 percentile, which is here. A cutoff for DM is 75 percentile, which is here, and cutoff for QA is 85 percentile, which is there. And we are looking at these where each question carry 1 mark and a negative 0.25 there, and this sort of the cutoff. I think if you want a businessman, the highest sort of cutoff that I can see is 90 percentile. That's the highest ever, which is probably here 11.5, and the highest for this one is decision making. Everybody is stuck to here 75 percentile, and the rest of the highest I can see is about 85 percentile. That's basically the maximum that is expected. Of course, you need to have sort of high scores. The higher the score, the chances of obviously the better in terms of calls and eventual weightage of that. But that is going to give calls. The overall cutoff is the highest is 95. You can get call at 90%, 88%, depending upon which program that applying to. So the 95%, we are looking at something like a 30.5 overall in this examination. 30.5 out of the sort of 60. So how many questions we have? We have 76 questions, right?
Yeah.
76. If I, yes, yes, yeah, 76, including these two things. If I ignore that, 76 plus 26, it includes 76. 76 question. We are looking at something which is like less than 50 percentage
Two
with the time
marks.
limit. Uh, and getting this is there. So, anything you want to add here, GP? We're looking at this section.
See, that is a very easy paper to crack. Okay. And most people are worried about CAT, but I always felt that that is a paper which is easier to score high. And the biggest reason is that there's no constraint of time. You are in
Correct.
CAT, in DILR, for example, or even in Quant, you are rushing through the paper. Large number of students are not able to complete even the English section. So, whichever way you look at it, throughout the paper, you are rushing. This is a paper which gives you ample time, so you don't have to rush. You can read at your pace, you can work at your pace, and hence there's a easier and a better paper. Secondly, those of you who are uncomfortable with Quant, CAT has two-third quant, whether it is quant or DILR, it is quant. DILR, typically, I'm sure after those who took CAT this year also would have realized this. So it was, if your concepts of quant are not clear, then you would struggle there also. So CAT is a numbers heavy or a quant heavy paper. This paper quant is just about one-third. And within that also you have 6 questions of DILR. So if I look at QADI, 26 on 76 is just over 33%, maybe 34, 35%. So there's a paper which is heavy on the other side. VALR is English, logic, reading comprehension, parajumble, whatever you want to call it. Decision making again is somewhat closer to critical reasoning, but not exactly critical reasoning. But yes, if you look at the section called decision making, there's a set of rules which you need to follow. You need to identify the criteria and take a decision based on the data given. The good thing about DM is your answer has to come from the data given and not from outside. So no external knowledge is required for decision making, and which is what makes this a better paper for those of you who are not good in quant.
Right. So with that, hopefully, we will take into the section. So we have any sort of questions, sir? So one is asking, sir. I think overall calculation is wrong if you sum up all the section. Please understand this. This overall is independent. It's not a sum of these things. Always, what you'll find, the overall percentile would be much lesser than the addition of these three things. If you get all these three put together, usually you will end up having that percentile. So please bear that in mind. It is a VILR ka independently overall percentile, DM ka independent overall percentile. The same student is not going to be 99 percentile in VILR and DM and QI to get there. So people will have different position there. So that's something that I need to say.
See, yeah. If you get a 97 or 98 percentile in each of the section, your aggregate will be about 99.5 percentile, if not
Yeah.
anything else.
That's what that means. So please do understand this overall percentile required is not a sum of these things. The individual just put up, take all your score and percentile, rank that within that. So basically VLR, so every student will have a particular score of VLR, DM and QI. Student who has particular score of VLR, DM, QI, overall score. So basically what you do is that this is sorted first to get this value. This is sorted individually to get this value. This is sorted individually to get this value. This is sorted individually to get that value. So it will not be there. I hope we've answered that question there. So one,
Yeah, I think this question needs to be taken. I just put it on the screen by Leah.
absolutely. You are Your dog is very excited, GP. There. So it says, sir, in XAT, we can leave only 8 questions. After that, minus point. No, 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 no. Wait a minute. Okay, we'll have to explain this. The negative marking system of XAT. Let's take, you have got 26 questions of VALR. DM, we have got 22 questions, and Quandis 28 questions, adding to 76. Correct. Right. Let's, for example, so the basic thing is that every question carries 1 mark, and there's a negative zero point 0.5 negative zero point 0.5 for wrong answers. Please do note that CAT has got 5 options. That has got 5 options. In this 5 options, there is each question is going to lose minus zero point 0.5 mark. For unattempted question, CAT does not have any negative marking, but here has got a negative marking. This is how it works. So essentially, let's assume that you've attempted here 50 questions. Okay, you got something correct and something wrong, and you left out 26 questions. Okay, let's keep that in mind. So let's assume that for the time being, let's say, yes, you attempted 15 here. Let's say you attempted 15 here. Let's say attempted 20 there. Okay, this is your attempt here to get you the score. You've left certain questions. You have left certain questions. You've left what, 9 questions here. You left 7 questions here, and you left. So let's put it like this. Okay. 9 questions you did not attempt. You did not attempt. Let's say 9 questions, 7 questions, and 8 questions, totaling.
Teacher, that will be 11 questions.
This okay.
Global
Sorry,
will be 11.
my bad. So see, I'm a I forgot maths. 26 question you will attempt it. Okay. Now here, let's say you got 30 questions or 40 questions correct and 10 questions wrong. So or 8 questions correct and whatever 42 questions. So 42 questions correct, 8 questions wrong. This will be -2, and 42 -2 is 40. And how is this calculated? The way in which it's calculated is that there is a negative marking for questions beyond 8, which means that will be 26 minus 8. So that will be how much? That will be
18.
18. Okay. We've got 18 questions. For these 18 questions, there'll be a negative marking for not attended. That negative marking is not minus 0.25. That negative marking is minus 0.10 for each question. So even if, let's say, you've left out 26 questions, for 8 questions, there is no P. For 18 questions, you're going to take away the net impact is just going to be minus 1.8 marks. So net impact, and then it's going to be distributed proportionately across the 3 sections, and then you will get that being calculated. What you need to understand is, for example, you decided that I really don't like this. I don't want to get this minus 0.1. Let me randomly mark. If you randomly mark this 26 question, let's assume on a worst case scenario, for this 26 question, you're going to get minus 0.25, which is you're almost going to lose close to more than 6 marks, right? I think there'll be 6.5 GP. I think if my maths is okay. Is that correct?
Yeah, 26
Uh,
by 4 will be 6.5.
6.5. You're going to lose 6.5 marks if you get everything to be negative. And I'm sure that you might get even some question correct, some question wrong. Who knows? Maybe you'll get, I don't know, maybe you got 10 questions correct, some 20, 15 questions correct, some questions wrong. You're going to pick up negative. So please understand this is much lower. So one of the things that you have to do is to completely ignore this this minus 0.1. Do it normally. This is my take GP. I think I'm sure that you can add something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Shivku will also say the same thing. But before that, let me just confirm what you are saying. I will ignore if I'm taking the paper. I'll not be bothered about the negative marking for unattempted questions. And the simple rule for me is minus 0.01
Minus 0.1.
is lesser than minus 0.25. Okay, the negative, the penalty is bigger for wrong answer as compared to this thing. Mathematically कुछ उल्टा लिख दिया हमने ना.
उल्टा लिख दिया ना minus point.
Mathematically उल्टा लिख दिया. The penalty for unattempted question is lower than the.
Correct. Right. I get
I
what
think
you're saying.
English में ठीक है वो maths में गलत बोल दिया था.
Penalty of 0.25 is a greater penalty than a 0.1 penalty. Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So which is why I'll not bother about it. What type of question I can attempt, I'll attempt, because if I unnecessarily attempt a question which I don't know, I'll end up with a penalty of 0.25. I'm happier with the penalty of 0.1. So I'm completely on board with that.
Now, to just to talk about this percentile distribution in this particular test, given the fact that about 200 people have taken the test, we will by and large keep it like this. I think the highest score that you have seen is 38ish for this test. And if I let me just give me one second here. I'll pull the. I think that you can't see what I'm doing, but I have the data with me just to give some sense. I did not put it here, but I can sort of roughly put the data in terms. So out of this, people who have taken the test, which is about 214, by the way. So then, so the 99 percentile score is which is the topper score happened to be 38.5 for this test, and 97 percentage in this particular test happened to be roughly close to about 32. So here, this is 97 is about 32, and 80th percentile for this test turned out to be kind of close to about 25ish. So 80th percent is about 25ish. This is what happened with respect to the test so far. You see that the distribution is by and large the same. More and more people take the test. If it goes to 2000, 3000, there will be a fairer picture. But at this point in time, we are basically going to assume this is likely going to be very similar to this. You have, for example, you can see across the board, what you actually can see is that quant is probably easier among the other section, though even though there are more number of questions for quant as well. You've got verbal being number two and DM. I think this is more or less what we have seen in this paper as well, TP. So we'll just
Yeah.
use this as a timing, and let's go one by one of each of the section. Let's start with VLR,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
lot of have got a lot of questions.
No,
DP.
all I was about to say was कि यार इसके percentile की चिंता नहीं करनी चाहिए. It is
Hmm.
such a small base. If it was 1,000 odd, I would have gone ahead with the percentile, but here I will not worry about the percentile.
Yeah. All right. So here, let's start with VLR. To start off with VLR, this is the composition of this mock, and this was a composition of the SAT 2023 as well. So when you look at this, I think the first thing is let's differentiate this into saying that this particular part is, I could say, knowledge based. So you should have the knowledge of grammar. This vocabulary based questions is kind of it's fine. The vocabulary based question is as fill in the blank is knowledge based. Then you have paragraph jumble with option. This is, let's say, reasoning based, and all the rest of the questions here from here to here, these are all comprehension based questions. Whether it's poem, critical reasoning bolne ke liye acha hai, treat it like reading comprehension only, short RCs.
Yes.
You got reading comprehension, which is 12. So you have clean pure comprehension. Even though poem comprehension is something that is new to you, it is still comprehension. Well, a poem is like a reading comprehension. Reading comprehension, typically what happens is that the author is giving yarn or expository passages, analytical, argumentative. Poem is about author sharing their feeling. So once you understand the broad tone, it is by and large very, very similar. You're looking at what, 18, 90, sort of about 20 question of core
20.
comprehension, two questions of paragraph jumble, and about four here. And this is something that I think that these grammar based questions in the XAT is not asking you high funda grammar, basic working grammar. So the key here is obviously going to be how much have you uh, handled with respect to these 20 questions. One struggle that you'll find in these questions, while you find paragraph jumble with options, so which means it's like only five choices that you have to evaluate. So it is unlike the cat wherein there is typing the answer question. The challenge that you might find is couple of them. One challenge that you find is five options. जीबी फाइव ऑप्शन मतलब एक और को एलिमिनेट करना पड़ेगा. Okay. But the second issue, creating five amazing options is also difficult. You're going to come up with very stupid ones. And the second is, so if you look at the reading comprehensive passages, the passages are shorter. 300 words. That is probably lastly one passage was 500 words. That is also reflected in this paper as well. The 500 word passage is shorter. The questions are all very catty itself. I think the passage sources are also very similar. New Yorker books and stuff. It's no different. The passages are not going to be very different from the cat passage. Very similar ones. Once upon a time, Zach used to have crazy passages. That's not the case anymore. The questions are application based and stuff. They're critical expression. I think one thing is that this many cases you get very shorter options. The cat has got slightly longer options. Shorter option, matlab, long option, matlab, there are a lot of rotten words. Matlab, elimination is better if you have long options. But that's about it. But it's very manageable. So, given the fact that people should have leveraged based on the fact that the entire thing that you've been preparing for the cat, GP, the students are preparing for the cat for comprehension, for this, and not really for grammar or vocabulary. What happened in the paper? A atom dekho, GP. Okay, huh? These are all reading comprehension questions. Let's look at attempt, which is given by this. The attempt for the first passage is about 60% attempt. The attempt for the second passage on an average is about 45% attempt. The third passage attempt is this is not the exact order in which the paper came, so I just the third passage attempt is about 50-55% attempt. The fourth passage attempt is about 55% attempt. While we love saying that इसको देख 90% इसमें है जो हमने किया नहीं अब तक जाके
एंड
पूरा
जो जो
हाँ,
आता भी नहीं है.
हाँ, किया नहीं जाके सबका नेगेटिव लेके आया ये छोड़ दिया. I think you can understand. This is sort of very, this is more than 50%. This is very close 50%. I think you can look at these to be two which is manageable. Here is one is sort of very easy, two manageable, one sort of manageable, and one from here. Okay. Imagine, for example, what are we looking? If let's say for some of you just want to clear the cutoff, and we talked about cutoff here. I think there is somebody sitting and saying that sir 75% कुछ भी करके लेके आना है मुझे ना 8 चाहिए बस. If you just say I want to just clear the cutoff, I think that even if let's say I can pick up, let's say 1 mark from here, net 1 mark from here, 1 mark from here, 1 mark from here, all put together, इसमें से 1, 2, 3 है. I think I can net about 2 marks from here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a poem. ये सब पकड़ के 1 mark from here, 1 mark from here. I'm getting an 8. So and now the strangest thing that I found here is a lack of attempt on this particular case. So that here, whatever we have prepared so hard for the CAT, we have not leveraged. And here GP people cannot give any excuse. Sir, time nahi tha. I can only solve 3 passages. Isko ye nahi na, there is no excuse here. That the and here this passage, in fact, this passage in empathy, I remember was about 200 words. This passage of economics, the first passage economics, this is about 350, I think, words. This passage was about 350 words again, 350, I think 400 words. This passage was about 500 words. There are only 3 questions. And there are enough time. You go 175 minutes. Even if you decide I'm going to spend 60 minutes here, or let's say even 50 minutes here, whatever you want to decide, if 60 minutes I want to spend, I can practically spend what 8 minutes, 9 minutes, even 10 minutes in these passages. Each of this passage, if you want to read the passage twice, thrice, you still have time. So one thing that I've seen is as far as possible, I think unless until the question is sort of very confusing, have an attitude where you want to attempt almost all the questions and have an attitude that I want to attempt almost all the questions. That should be the attitude. You can obviously leave the question if it is confusing to you, but at least have the attitude. I want to look at this. I don't want to see this. This is crazy. This clearly say I completely left it. But because you have read this particular passage, you would have taken at least give it a shot at 1 question. If you read this passage, you would give it a shot at 2 questions. You do not even read this particular passage. I think that is basically what happened here in reading comprehension. One of the things that I would want to tell you guys is that please ensure that don't treat it like cat. 2 करूंगा पैसेज 3 करूंगा पैसेज ऐसे नहीं है. अपने पास टाइम है एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वी हैव टू मैक्सिमाइज आवर मार्क्स ऑन दिस. इसका कुछ भरोसा तो है नहीं, तो दिख रहा है. इट्स लाइक वेरी वेरी क्लियर. इसमें देयर इज सो फॉर एग्जांपल पीपल शुड नो व्हेन आई से इन स्पाइट, a simple thing, in spite something or despite. I think the simple usage, in spite needs to have an off after that. ये अभी हम याद नहीं है ना अपने को अभी. You always say in spite of. We can't say despite of. You have to say despite, but in spite of. Superior to, not superior than. Right. So there is a chota ideas here. Either or, either A or B, neither. So what is none? Is none plural or none singular? So this sort of simple thing was asked, but at the end of the day, you had to maximize here. Suppressing GP when you have options that is given to paragraph jumble, people it's the same story only. So
But
here
यहाँ पे तो आसान होना चाहिए. I've not done the paper, but I think this should not have been so difficult. Okay, so
I think मेरे को क्या लग रहा है ना, I think what is that particular happen so far, we are so used to solving without options. When option is given, we don't
so
know
option
how.
देखा ही नहीं.
मतलब या ऑप्शन देके कंफ्यूज हो गया. Some people will say कि काम करता हूँ, I will look at each of the option, look at arrangement. Some people will say ठीक है, let me look at the start. I think this approach has to be very similar to what you've been doing, in the sense that what you should do first when paragraph jumble में, you should actually read the 4 sentences, pick up as many clues as possible. मतलब either something is a start, इसके बाद ये आना चाहिए, take clues and then eliminate. And you will find, I think that this is very strange that this happened. It's not like these questions were very different. These are five sentences, these are only four sentences. The answer was in the exact order that is given. One, two, three, four. I remember this question. Here, poem comprehension. I think ये क्या है यार मतलब क्या है? Well, I think you decided मैं करूंगा ही नहीं, अपने को करना ही नहीं है. Poem comprehension is about reading comprehension, and I think you can watch the video in terms of I explain how to deal with poem. It is, you have to make it very close to what reading comprehension. Not there. It's got some element. Poem has to have interpretation stuff. But at the end of the day, nobody's asking you to write an essay on a particular poem. There are five options that is given to you, and elimination is again the key. It is pura beast only again, broad, extreme, narrow. And even if you look at critical reasoning, इसको critical reasoning ज़्यादा complicate मत कर. A lot of people feel that it's like GMAT, VMAT is simple RC only. It is basic RC and asking all the type of questions that you've been asked in the CAT as well. Strength and weakness of CAT में भी है. There are, I think, couple of questions we had a trouble. I think that this is genuinely a difficult one. Options were slightly tricky. This had two options which were painful. I think that I understand the issue that people had, but barring that issues, we had about four questions straight. Four minus, even if I take negative mark for this, so we are getting about 3.5 straight from these set of questions, and it's very very surprising. The last question, which is the sort of one of the easiest one, very few people attempt. I don't know what is going on here. A 3.5 here, even if let's say can take about two correct, one wrong from this particular passage. Let's say I took about two minus point 1.75 from here. Let's say one correct, two wrong, the five from here. Let's say point from five from here, one from here. I think you do something like that. So it is the one, two, two, 3.75, 7.75 already there. Poem में एक निकला, एक निकला, एक निकला. I think clearing the cutoff is fine. Obviously, you're obviously not just wanting to clear the cutoff. You also need to aim pretty high. We are looking at this is also very possible to get any of these kind of questions. For everything to happen, you need to do this. I will also recommend very very strongly to take notes. If you're taking notes, if you watch video, I think you have all the time, all the time with you to actually you don't slow it unnecessarily. I think you can arams manage it. This is going to be crackable. Don't worry about this composition. Okay, it turned out to be very very painful, but even then, you would have nailed it. GP, yeah. Assessment of VLA.
In fact, for this paper, my starting point is don't waste time in grammar and vocabulary. You read the question. If you know the answer, mark it. If you don't know the answer, leave it and move on. Don't try to eliminate choices in grammar vocabulary because this is knowledge based. Either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. Okay. So that's the first thing. Yes, in grammar there can be questions which have five sentences. You have to identify which two or three are correct, grammatically correct or incorrect. And there you can obviously look at eliminating choices based on whatever you know. But by and large, these are knowledge-based questions, so no wastage of time to be done. Okay, file jumbles has to be by elimination, which means you go through all the statements, pick up whatever clue you can. Based on those clues, eliminate the choices. What gets left behind is the answer. Okay, poem comprehension, and I do exactly what Jijo said. I just try to get a broad idea or a feeling or the emotion of the author or the poet, sorry, and try to give the answer based on it. Most of the time, 1 out of 2 questions I get right. Occasionally, it has been 2 out of 2, but mostly it is 1 out of 2 because I just go with the overall feeling rather than trying to understand each and every word or line of the poem because that is beyond my capability. Okay. Critical reasoning is the area where I typically you score high because these are short passages, shorter than what you have, obviously the RC one, and typically beasts will work here. And I've never treated them like anything else except a short RC or a shorter
Correct.
RC. Okay.
Correct.
And then when it comes to the 4 RC, the passages again the same rule applies. Short passages, read, don't rush through it. Here, unlike CAT, I can be a little slow. But again, I'm trying to do exactly what I do in CAT, which means try to understand the passage, get a broad idea, and go to the questions. Unlike CAT, where I typically not go back to the passage because of time or other constraints. When it comes to RC, because there's availability of time, if I am very very sure that I can get the answer by going back, I will go back and check it also. But I have to be reasonably sure कि सब समझ आ गया, मेरे को थोड़ा सा confusion है. But I will never go back for a fishing expedition. चलो passage फिर से देखते हैं कि क्या करना है इसके अंदर. So fishing expedition is completely ruled out. I know that if I go back to the passage, I will clear this doubt and I will be able to get the answer. I will do that. And that typically does happen to me in XAT in one odd question every passage. So which is fine with me because there's sufficient time I can afford to do it. Okay. So that's the way I would look at doing this paper. And typically, a double date score is a decent score. A score of 12 to 14 is a very good score as far as this paper is concerned. Yes, if you can get 15, 16, that's great. But 12 to 14, 12 to 15, if you are in that range, you have done your job as far as this paper is concerned. And a double date paper score means you have cleared the sectional cutoff without any doubt.
Yeah, just want to show just one thing. I'll just pull out the paper from here. Okay. Yes, I think just want to illustrate one small thing, which is third question, right? Uh, the let's say this question, third question. Just focusing on just the third question here. This question is look, read, fill in the blank, saying classical music brought to emotions what literature did to human blank. It elevated every sentiment to the blank of fine art. Each feeling became blank because every emotion was expressed through melody. The depth of human experience was blank in every composition. Now look at this one. Insights plain, tangible, reflected. Classical music brought to emotion what literature did to human insights. It elevated every sentiment to the plane of fine art. Each feeling became tangible because every emotion was expressed through a melody. The depth of human experience reflected in every composition. Yeah, uh, classical melody brought to human is what human literature is to human understanding. It elevated every sentiment to the level of fine art. Each feeling became heightened because every emotion was expressed through melody. The depth of human experience was depicted in every composition. Classic music brought emotion what human literature did to human experiences. It elevated every sentiment to the sphere of fine art. Each feeling became profound because every emotion was expressed through melody. The depth of human experience was captured in every emotion. अब इसको मानने के लिए you would have to have deep connect to this. What is the kind of word that we are looking at use here? You're looking at what level you want to get into. Is this particular thing if you're talking about human? The comparison here, is it going to be something that is very narrow as insights or understanding or just thought, or is it going to be much more broader in terms of experiences or perceptions? Much more broader. I think this particular question requires so many understanding that level of stuff. And what I've seen here, इसको जाके हमने कहाँ है? ये जाके everybody who has taken this particular paper have gone and fought with the particular question, took a -25 and left questions like these. Yeah. Just illustrating some of the. I'm not saying not to solve it. Wo question छोड़ के, I think this is absolutely. I'm sure that you would have wasted time because you want. I don't know why. Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Hopefully, you learn all this. Decision making GP. Uh,
Yeah. So
I'm
this decision
so
making तो हम लोग का फेवरेट सेक्शन है वैसे.
इसमें पहला सवाल है जीपी रीडिंग कॉम्बिनेशन है कि कॉमन सेंस है व्हाट इज डिसीजन मेकिंग
Yeah,
आई थिंक
it is neither reading comprehension nor common sense. ठीक है.
या
Reading comprehension very clearly means that read the passage based on the understanding of the passage. Just answer what do you understand from that.
व्हाट इज ट्रू रीडिंग कॉम्बिनेशन अबाउट
Yeah,
अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट इज ट्रू बेस्ड ऑन द पैसेज ये तो नहीं है
yeah,
जरा करेक्ट
yeah. And common sense का मतलब है कि यार how do I explain this? But common sense इसलिए नहीं बोलूंगा because when you talk about this particular section, you have to take decision based on certain criteria. So not only you have to understand the situation, you have to understand what is the objective you are trying to achieve. Based on the objective, you will take a decision. And when it comes to these passages of decision making, most of the time the question will tell you what is the criteria you have to look at. So when you are reading the passage in case of decision making, you are not trying to understand कि क्या decision लेना होगा. Decision will come when you get to the question. So when you are reading the passage, you are trying to understand the situation and understand the data and the facts. Okay, this is what happened. These are the people involved. This is what they are doing. This is what action each one of them has taken. And when I come to the question, it says, okay, if this is the requirement, what should be done? So based on the requirement or based on the decision criteria, now when we say common sense does not fully fit in that place. Okay, because common sense की जगह मैं बोलूँगा based on the criteria, you have to decide what is the next step forward.
या आई कंप्लीट कॉमन सेंस गिव्स अ सेंस इज द या कुछ है नहीं इसमें है ना ऐसा फीलिंग है, सब्जेक्टिविटी है. ओके, इट्स नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिव थिंग, इट इज अबाउट व्हाट यू फील. मतलब एथिक का साइड में रहो, इसमें साइड में रहो, उसके साइड में रहो, ऐसा कुछ है नहीं. एट द एंड ऑफ द इट इज एब्सोल्युटली बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट डीप इज बेस्ड ऑन क्राइटेरिया. I'm just going to illustrate sort of one question here, which is I was just recording. So the video of BALR is uploaded. Okay, decision making, I was still I have to record two more sets. I'll do this after this particular session, and I was sort of recording here. I can probably pick that here itself. Okay, there you go. This was the I was recording this one. Okay, okay. Let's do. Okay, so for example, just look at this particular question here. What GP was saying. This is saying that to enhance the educational value of the festival. So the criteria is that I need to have education value enhanced. The committee plans to introduce more informative, interactive sections. So it's about education value. It has to be about information. It has to have some interactive element, but it's about education value. Which of the following is most effective to achieve this? Obviously, considering whichever the criteria, initial criteria. You look in educational value. उधर जाके entertainment mark कर ले public ने. Organize series of competitive events based on culture and knowledge. Is competitive event enhancing education value? Is it going to provide information? There is interactivity, of course, here. But look at, for example, answer choice number A, inviting historians and cultural scholars. जिसको आता है वो जाके information दे रहा है. To give talks and presentations. Presentation obviously means, and then is a question of interactivity. You can build in interactivity in any kind of presentation by Q&A and whatever, and those things can be done. You see this, no, this criteria is sort of very, very clearly laid down. But the majority of the students went and answered this question, which is 37%. I can go on and on in every sort of passages that I have looked at. Uh, every sort of passages has given sort of criteria. For example, look at for example this particular question. This particular question is talking about a situation where there's a crisis of the northern frontier. The Valori military face a new challenge. There is intelligent report indicate the movement of enemy conventional forces itself. There is intelligent report. Okay, so this you think about it. It's not about rumors. This is not media report. This is an intelligent report. Indicate movement. Movement the whole hai. So what should be the criteria? Criteria has to be something. The sense of urgency is implied here. So somewhere it is stated. It's implied here. ये देख 11%. Await further intelligence. ये नहीं चाहिए और intelligence चाहिए अपने को. And then we'll wait. You're already getting intelligent report. It's not rumor report, media report, hearsay report. These are intelligent reports. So so you can go on and talk about these things. And like what GP said, at the end of the day, it is absolutely about, I think that I did not solve this. There is some issue with respect to the question. They're correcting it. ये समझा नहीं मतलब ये वाला इसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है. So I raised it. I think they're correcting that question anyways. So let's get back to the one that we were discussing, which is this particular paper. Okay, there you go. Where is it? DLR. And that's what GP was saying. And GP ये story है. I think this for the time let's ignore the first set about network. And we
Yeah.
got sort of
I think
all
first
these.
one is almost a DI set,
Uh,
and that I don't think will be a problem. It is set 2 to set 8 which we need to look at, and
uh,
that is what classical decision making is, and that is where, and this is the place where most students struggle.
and we got sort of issue in. So for example, there is a 4% attempted this question. Okay, 4%, so accuracy level. One thing that I've seen is GP, the attempt percentage. People are leaving a set completely. This is such that people are leaving the set. Time ka issue nahi hoga. All this attempt percentage, for example, this particular set attempt percentage is about this. Everybody like to attempt, and usko jaake sab galati le liya usne. Okay, we have got about close to about 80% attempt in
85%.
this particular 85% attempt. This has got close to about 65% attempt. This is about 75% attempt. This is about 60 50. Let's talk about 60 65% attempt. This is about 70% attempt. This is about this is very low when the accuracy is high. I don't know what has happened here. We are looking at close to about 50% attempt. We are close to about 60% attempt. So people are choosing to leave a complete set altogether. Is it a good idea, GP?
Actually, no. See, again, the issue is I will look at leaving a complete set if I was struggling for time. Now, there's no issue at all. If you look at the length of these passages, again, each of these passages are typically about 300 words or so. Okay? And you can comfortably do these questions in about 40-45 minutes as such. Okay? So when you look at this thing, my suggestion would always be read the complete set, complete passage, go through the questions, Wherever you are able to understand and understand the decision criteria, mark the answer by eliminating choices or otherwise, and if not, you can leave the question, move on. So to me, every passage or every passage or every set of data will have one or two easy questions and one or two difficult questions, and your job is to just keep doing the easy ones or the one which you understand.
Yeah. One other thing that is going to face is, for example, very comparing reading comprehension decision making. In reading comprehension, whatever question that they're asking, our confidence level will never be 100% confidence. Like maths, may you are a little more confident about the answer because you got the answer is there in the answer choice. This is more like because you are always evaluating answer choices. You are of a certain degree of certainty. So you're making certain bets, and your degree of certainty reasonably there. You mark something. Sometimes you take a risk. Sometimes you're not sure, but you're committing the thing. You'll have a little more uncertainty when it comes to decision making. At least reading comprehension, you can rely completely on the passage you're looking at. This true statement. This is like, okay, this person asking this. Okay, what is the criteria that I have to use? Is the criteria implied there, explicitly stated? Or is this criteria important? I look at each of the answer choice. I'm evaluating. Okay, these two doesn't make any sense. But you've got sometimes you're ascending, making arrange them in ascending order, descending order. Sometimes you're picking combination of set together. In these cases, your level of confidence may not be as high as what you see in our reading comprehension. The sense is usually what typically what you find. At least you've got five. You've got one, two, three, four, four, five questions here. I'm just counting. I'm ignoring the first set for the time being. Five questions, which is about easy to medium. Let's pick up everything which is about 50% accuracy. I'm going to count this as well. Also easy one. 50% accuracy is also considered easy. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. You've got nine, which is manageable. Thoda medium ones, one, two, two of them, which is about medium ones, and then you've got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven of them, which is problematic ones. Let's assume that out of these you attempted everything. Out of the nine question, you got eight correct and let's say one wrong. Out of the two questions, you got one correct, let's say, and one wrong. Out of the seven question, let's say you got two correct and let's say the five wrong, let's say three correct or four wrong. Okay. So even if let's say look at this scenario, you look at 8, 10, 11 questions, net correct, and 5, 6 about minus point one, you net about 10 questions, 10 marks is what you're going to take away on a worst case scenario. And if you're able to take away something like a sort of 10 marks, you already here, which is the 95th percentile here in this particular section. Now the issue is you will start deciding that I'm going to leave out certain sets. and again the same story. It is if the set is not these are like individual questions, right? You're going to leave out a certain set. For example, I decided I'm not going to do these two and I'm going to only solve this. Then you're going to also lose out opportunity of those easy questions from the set, that you're going to lose out that opportunity. So in general, what you got to do in decision making is this. And of course, you will need to focus on a process like what GP is saying to handle these questions. And I have recorded video. I think I've recorded so far. I've recorded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ये दोनों बचा है. So hopefully at 9 o'clock, 9:15 after this session, I'll record, and then tomorrow you'll get the complete solution. Let me say that. Okay. So yeah,
See,
yeah, GP.
one thing that students need to remember, uh, in this passage in this section, when you look at set numbers 2 to 8, almost all questions are set to individual situations. Some of those situations you'll be able to handle very, very comfortably. Some of them you'll get confused. So if you start by saying I will do only 6 sets or leave 2 sets, you are straight away missing out on some of the easy questions. And secondly, which will force you to do the difficult or the confusing question, the sets that you have picked up. The right approach, as in case of RC, is you go through the set, you go through the passage, understand whatever you can, get the basic understanding. Then question by question, look at each situation where you are able to handle, do that. And there's certain type of questions which are a little difficult, which says what should be the sequence, most effective to least effective. Those kind of questions can be at times a little tricky. So those are the questions which you could afford to leave. But there are every set will have one or two questions which are fairly straightforward, and you should not miss out on those easy questions. It is okay to leave the difficult one, but those easy, straightforward questions you should not be missing out on. So the approach, as in the case of IC, is going to be read the passage, understand, go through each question, the one which you understand and you are able to solve, mark the answer, others keep leaving.
Yeah. there is one other thing that is very very important for understand. ये मतलब तुम लोग ना memory से मत करो. So I've seen not many people say I've seen a very similar passage somewhere. In that particular passage something was done, so answer has to be this. Don't do that.
Yes.
I'm going to illustrate as to why that is a crazy idea. For instance, let me pick which is I'm going to pick this one again. Let's look at this question again. Let's look at this question again. So for example, I could change this option. Say that to enhance entertainment value of the festival, the committee will introduce the informative intersection, ended, ended, along with uh, entertainment elements. If there is one more thing that is being added here, then you probably go to B instead of A. If it
Yeah.
is, if it is, if it is, if it is, it is the this question can be converted into any of these five answer choices simply by adding a different criteria. So, for us to get to answer choice number, setting up interactive cultural heritage exhibit. So you would probably say without disturbing the the schedule, already filed schedule, ऐसा कुछ डाल देगा, तो immediately you will say ठीक है, you're not disturbing the schedule, immediately setting interactive छाड़ दो उधर. Okay, exhibits डाल दो, कुछ schedule interact नहीं कर रहा, immediately you get answer choice number C, the answer. And I don't know how to get schools involved. Okay, huh? So but you can still think about certain criteria to get this answer. So anything can be the answer. It all depends. It's not common sense, therefore, which is what GP was saying. इसमें कुछ common sense है नहीं है. कुछ common sense नहीं है. It is all about evaluating the specific criteria that has been laid out here and using the criteria to answer this question. I can go on and on, but I'll encourage you to. I have basically tried to create the explanation in a detailed manner. Again, I'm saying the explanation will be available tomorrow. So that is sort of one small. You can do the VALR at this point in time and pick up DM later tomorrow. Just one more thing, GP, before I start, as to why there was a delay. Usually, I record video solution because I put up those numbers in terms of percentage of people who answered a particular question correct. I basically wait for day one, and usually I record on Sunday because out of the 6,000, about 2,000 people take the test on day one itself. So you get a
Right.
substantial number. मैं record करने के लिए बैठा GP, 33 people have taken test. Okay. 33. मैं entire Sunday I'm sitting and figuring out इससे कुछ होगा नहीं. I'll have to wait for some more data. So I'll have to at least get some data which is even crossing 200. Is that wala thing? So I have to wait. I started recording in today afternoon. As many maximum input as possible, which is why. So I'm recording both the sections, which is why I kind of delayed. I wanted to push it, but unfortunately I couldn't. So I've reached till I've recorded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's not been uploaded. So I still have to share it. So just saying. Okay. So GP, I think what your take in terms of people who are taking the XAT here in the mock when they have so their issue would be decision making. How do they go about preparing this particular section?
See, we could definitely plug in DM 1000, which will be launched in a couple of days. ठीक है, so एक वो तो definitely है, but I would say the straightforward thing for the students would be to look at all that papers, because what you need to understand is what is that looking for. Okay, so previous year questions, and I will say go back to 2008 onwards. In fact, all in your aspiration account, I think you'll have papers from 2008. There are a couple of papers which you can ignore, but apart from that, almost all papers from 2008 to last year, which means January 23. All the papers are relevant for you.
So when they started in 2008, the question was slightly more straightforward. I think that initial bit of the papers will give you a solid foundation in terms of what that paper is. I think much more there. And then now 2018 onwards is roughly where the paper became a little more standardized. There were much more variation there. One of the papers I think we will ask you to ignore is 2020, both for VALR and DM. Remember GP? Yeah, I think its cutoff for VALR was 2.6.
Yes. So answer is galat hai yaar. Unki ego thing, it stopped them from accepting that the answers are wrong. But theek hai, can't help it. Similarly, there's another paper, 2010 or 11, I think 2011. That's a crazy paper with some question having 5 marks, some question having 2 marks. I could be wrong about the year. It's either 2010 or 11, most probably 11. That's another paper which you can look at, understand, go through the question, but don't take it too seriously, which means you use that paper to understand the logic. Okay? So as far as DM is concerned, 2008 to 23, all papers, do the initial ones, as Jijo said, build your base, and then start doing questions from 2018 onwards.
That said, for verbal ability, ye hata do. Na, matlab, don't look at 2008 and all. It's crazy. Huh? Verbal ability and logically, I think when probably start from 2015, 16 onwards, I think it has been much more simpler to handle. Maths also same thing. Don't look at पुराना वाला maths तो थोड़ा घटिया था. हाँ, तो
It
maths
was
भी
a different kind of maths, and
हाँ,
say again 15, 16 onwards, it has become closer to CAT, and I would say easier than CAT.
yeah. So it is much more easier than CAT if you actually look at it, which is actually you're looking at what percentage here, GP. I think let's look at the quant here. We are looking at we are anyway moving to quant. Just quickly move to quant, and we are looking at 19 out of 26. इसका what is the इसका
20,
ये क्या है? Uh,
20,
28, 28.
75%.
19 out of 28. It's about 75
No,
percentage, no?
no, it's bit
Seven,
lower. Two thirds.
it's like uh, to the 66, 70% के आसपास लेते हैं,
65,
roughly.
70. Huh? 18 by
तो
27 is two thirds, na? So 19 by 28 will be almost the same.
two-third. That's about 65%, 66%, 68% accuracy. 68 percentage is 99 percentile. Now, when was the last time 68 percentage was 98 percentile in the cat? कब था? याद है जीपी कभी था क्या इस बार तो आई डोंट नो 20% होगा 25% होगा आई हैव नो आइडिया out of the out of the 22 questions that we have मतलब इस बार मतलब 9 10 is not will be awesome ना so
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
you're looking
We
at
were
this
crazy before we had this year, which is fine.
so
ठीक है.
you're looking at this so it is not sort of tough at all but lot of I think so lot of misconceptions are actually happening. So I have spoken to this XLRI pass out. XLRI pass outs said that it's very tough. Yes, an XLRI guy took the test in 2005, pass out in 2007. Tabi it was crazy. But if you look at the recent papers, it is absolutely manageable, and GP it is reflected here also.
Yes, absolutely right. ठीक है.
एक
And
दो तीन चार पाँच छः सात आठ नौ 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 so it eventually if you do this paper it will come back to this one only. There's an actual XAT
yeah,
percentile distribution. You will see very similar stuff happening here as well. This is a DI first set, this is a DI second set, by the way.
and this is also reflected, Gijo. If you go
uh,
to the previous slide, look
yeah
at look at that 80, 85 percentile, whatever that number is.
uh,
Okay, the cutoff for quant is typically about 11 to 12 marks. So which is 90 percentile, 85 to 90 percentile, while for the others, the cutoff is about 8 marks, usually. Okay, so the first two sections, typically 7.5, 8, 8.5 is the score you're looking for. As far as quant is concerned, you're looking for a 10 to 11 kind of a score. 11 is the number I would be more comfortable with.
yeah so basically when creating this ad so I don't know whether this actually reflects in the scorecard. Let me just give me a second. I'll just quickly sort this one from Excel sheet here. The only reason I did not put it is because take about percentile is like about 200 is still going to have some value, but felt that in this case the highest mark is 20.5, 19.75. So about 99 percentile here is about 19.75, which is in sort of in the mock so far. I think that this is about 19.75, which is close to this, and about 90th percentile I can see here is probably close to about 14 is what I can see. I think ठीक है. So it may be sort of slightly
Small number, so off to hoga.
the small number है तो it's 200 is too much. At least we need to have at least about 1,500 2,000
Yes,
numbers to
6, 700 also it would have been fine, but 1000 plus is typically what I would
uh,
look for.
1,000 plus is there. So 200 mein zyada will not interact. So whatever the percentile score that you're taking, don't look at this. Just take a snapshot of this screen here. Just use this as a sort of benchmark. If you're still here as well. Okay, so there you have it. There's anything specific. DI, I think
These are
QA
there are few
DI
questions like, yeah, as far as QA is concerned, I've already made one video and uploaded, which means which questions to be attempted and which one not to. And the Jugaad video मुझे बनाना है, that I'll do it tomorrow. But there are a couple of questions I thought it will be useful to pick them up.
Okay,
Especially question 49 लोगों ने नहीं किया है.
So let me just go to the paper GP. You say
Yeah.
question number 49. You said.
हाँ, यहाँ से शुरू होता है ना.
Sorry.
Yeah, question number 48, 49, sorry.
Hmm.
What stopped you from making cases and solving it? Look at the choices 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The number of cases will not be more than 6. The choices are telling us that the number of cases is less than equal to 6. So make cases and solve. Don't leave this, and I was surprised when they look that this has turned out to be a medium level difficulty question. Okay, so either people, and I did not notice the accuracy, but this was a question which you could have done definitely of making cases. Similarly, question 51. If we go to question number 51,
Yeah.
the highest profit, those of you have done the question, the highest profit is for mangoes. And that also gives the highest profit percentage. Okay, so my answer should have maximum amount of mangoes.
Achha.
Choice G. Choice G is straightforward answer. And yes, you can solve it. But my point is again, are you understanding the question? My answer, if you look at if I remember correctly, mangoes, the cost price is about 500 odd and selling price is 630 per dozen. So percentage profit and the amount of profit both are highest for mangoes. So mango should be the one which should give you the answer. Okay. Question number 52. Now look at that. It is talking about the triangle. Gigi, if you can just highlight AD equal to 10 triangle. AD is 5 root 3. Okay. Look at that 5 root 3. Where do you get 5 root 3 in a right angle triangle? Root 3 would come if it's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. A 30, 60, 90 right triangle would have ratio of sides of 1 is to root 3 is to 2. Okay. This was a clear hint because when you look at AD is perpendicular to BC. So AD is 5 root 3. It is a right angle triangle. बहुत 30, 60, 90 लगा लो, निकल जाएगा. ठीक है? It's such a simple question if you notice such minor things. Okay? Question 53 again. Put values of x and solve. Okay, we are still talking about the same thing. Put values of x and solve. Okay? 54 तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया क्या कहना, तो मैंने छोड़ दिया. ठीक है? But 55 को छोड़ देते हैं. 55 is a standard LCM question. I'm sure everyone would have got it right. Okay. Yeah. 56, compound interest. Go to the Jugaad video. Jugaad video, not Jugaad video, the oriented overview video. Which questions to attempt, which one not to. सवाल पढ़ते पढ़ते solve हो गया था ये. I don't know how many have solved, but this was the questions could solve. 57 would have been an easy, but 58. Gino, can you check how many students have actually solved this question?
58. Sign cost, sign सब देखे ना, I'm guessing 30%.
अभी बताता हूँ, इसके अंदर बहुत मजेदार चीज है इस क्वेश्चन में.
58, not bad.
Very good यार.
60%, मतलब पब्लिक डरा नहीं है, मतलब कैट के बाद तो मतलब
80% एक्यूरेसी है, बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे. अच्छा, मैंने इसमें खैर सिंपल किया. If you just go back to the question.
58 ना, हाँ.
Yeah. Look at the equation. Cot 33, 57. 33, 57. 33 plus 57 is 90. सबको 45 कर दिया मैंने. Everything is 45. Because 33 plus 57 is 90, so I'll make everything 45 because I know cos sine root 2, cos and sine 45 is 1 by root 2. The tan 45 and cot 45 is 1, and the remaining 2 are root 2. सीधा डालो, आंसर निकालो, which means n is equal to sine 45 हो गया ना, sec 45 which is root 2. So n is equal to root 2. Answer came out to be 4, which is n square plus 2. इसमें n को 40, इसको थीटा को सबको सेम कर दो. I could do it because 33 plus 57 is 90. Otherwise, नहीं होता. Okay. Okay. Question 59. Draw the figure. 59 again. It is your coordinate geometry. Draw the figure. You'll get the answer. Again, overview video में मैंने इसका थोड़ा सा hint भी दे दिया कैसे करना है. 60 to 62. That set. This is a set which I felt should not be attempted because again it is called maxima, minima. Lots of data. You'll have to make cases and do it.
मस्त. People listen to your advice.
Very good. Very good. but 74 to 76 आसान था, वो क्यों नहीं किया, ये मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा.
आज ठीक है.
उसमें कम attempt है. Though the easiest question is still has 40% attempt. I think वो last में था. Some people may have struggled to reach.
Struggled to reach will be very unlikely, no? मतलब
I don't know क्यों. ठीक है. आगे क्या है? Just you can. Yeah, but look at question 64 also. He's asking P plus Q plus R plus S plus T. Last में. Let x be equal to this. Find the minimum possible value of x. Just above this, it says R plus S plus T is 9. Okay. So answer has to be greater than 9. Okay? And first line में P plus Q plus R is 4. So the lowest value of P plus Q has to be 1 plus 1, 2. Answer has to be 11.
अच्छा
Can
बराबर
only be 1 plus 1. Nothing else is possible. No? ठीक है. So
हाँ
मेरे को second equation की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ी.
अच्छा
So again, if you look at the jugaad part works here also. 66 is A0, A1 given. Find A2, A3. Find the pattern and get the answer.
correct.
This is a standard jugaad question.
Yeah, this is like 1,000. This will be uh if
If
n
I
minus
remember correctly, answer was 1000.
hmm.
Denominator was 1001. If I remember correctly, answer should be D.
It's like n plus 1 divided by n plus 1 by n ऐसा है ना n
हाँ
plus 2 something like that
हाँ
okay
एकदम एकदम
हाँ
एकदम
okay
वही
okay
है.
okay
ठीक है. Question 68 was a straightforward question. First पहला वाले का बहुत कम जरूरत पड़ा. If you look at it, it says 10Q9. Yeah, just above this. 10Q9
yeah
is divisible by 11. That means Q can only be 10. Q can only be 8, sorry.
yeah है ना
Q
ये
plus
difference होना
1
चाहिए
has to be equal to
हाँ
Q तो 8 दिया ही हुआ है, बाकी निकाल लो ना. ठीक है. So my point essentially is, okay, yeah, 69 के बाद दीजिए, can you go to the next one? Next slide, next page, sorry.
yeah
कुछ इसमें खास है क्या? Question 71.
hmm.
Again, you will find 30, 60, 90 आ जाएगा इसमें भी. This 30, 60, 90 right triangle आएगा.
lot of root 3s also here the options
There are lots of root 3, but तो आ जाता है. Okay. And 74 to 76 was a straightforward data set. Now, in this question 2018, if you look at 85% is cost price as a percentage of selling price. That means my profit percentage will be 15 by 85. In 2019, my cost price is 90% of selling price, profit is 10 by 90. Okay? So, and in this question, you don't need to do too much of calculation. At least 74, 75 are straightforward. 76 will require some amount of calculation.
yeah
So glad to see that the percentage attempt are reasonably good, but I hope the Jugaad formulas people are still applying.
I think once and for all, I think we should have stop the sort of conversation around mathematics, saying that maths na hmm, is very tough. I think that I think if you look at the story of let's say in general this, I think it's very very interesting that at 75 percentile, math seems to be tougher than real. As you go higher, 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 it's like the gap is different, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
which is another sort of obviously there are more number of questions of QADI. So the simple point therefore
Sayed
is
is saying that the data has changed. I got 76 percentile at 11.25 in QA. So Sayed, we'll have it checked out. Maybe we got कोई data mix up हो गया है. इसको check करा लेते हैं.
what is saying?
He's saying for last year in CAD in ZAT 23, yeah, ZAT
Hmm.
23 in QA 11.25 marks for 76 percentile.
Okay. So this would be probably
It's
here. Okay.
only so Sayed will have it checked. कहीं mix up हो गया होगा.
अच्छा
या
ठीक है.
उसके पिछले साल का तो नहीं आ गया ये.
This is still. I think it was an estimate. I'm not too sure. We'll just checking this one. So we'll put it the proper one. So which anyway comes back and tells the same story. Basically, Syed is saying, sir, ये 7.5 नहीं है, 11.5 है. ये जो सही होगा, हाँ, ज़्यादा ही होगा. So it is like it is coming back and telling sort of the same story. Yep. There you go. So we can pick up questions. Anything GP if students have or.
Yeah. I think ऐसा कोई specific है नहीं. Yeah, Kritiman. Well, we'll see. It should be the same. If it has changed, we'll have it reverted.
I think I have recorded, assuming it is like a CDC one. I have recorded individual question. I would have recorded one shot. It will be very crazy if it is not in the same previous format. मतलब वो
Yeah.
कैसे देखेगा? मतलब it has to be in the
हाँ.
CDCS format.
Yeah. ठीक है.
All right.
So
So
I think एक काम करते हैं. Let's see. Next paper कब का है? Any idea, Jijo?
which one next mock? Next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
हाँ ये
Okay.
पर
I was wondering
ये
if
वाला week.
it
Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, next. I think so. I think every week there is one
Excellent.
CDX. There are 4 of them. I think it's happening every
I'm
week.
wondering, does it make sense to delay it a little so that the students have covered something and then ये अगला देखते हैं?
Possibly, I think that discussion we can have, and then we'll figure out the next one. Kelly, I think we can push it a little bit so that
चलो
let
ठीक
them.
है, वो देखते
They
हैं
anyway
हम.
they have access to Prime XAT, so that is not a problem. So, but I think CDC we can sort
Yeah,
of do that maybe.
yeah, ठीक है.
ठीक है. All right. Thank
चलो
you so
ठीक है,
much.
फिर we'll close the session. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good night. All the best.
All the best.